The most powerful attitude and outlook on life is gratitude. In the state of gratitude, there can be no suffering. There is no lack nor fear. There are no limitations nor enemies. Gratitude sees all with perfect trust and acceptance and takes in the glory of the moment through being present with what is. Presence can be reached at will if we decide to simply take moments throughout our day to shift our inner narrative to one of gratitude and humility. This is most easily done by dropping deeply into the current moment and taking in all the overlooked beautiful details of life. Meditation is simply sitting with the intention of watching the mind. It is a great tool to develop acknowledgement of awareness to access states of presence. In order to strengthen our ability to maintain awareness and presence, we simply practice the self-reflection exercise we did before, gradually extending the time we can sit watching the mind and withdrawing attachment to it. Instead of attaching to thoughts as mine, we observe them impersonally. A thought of shame arising, a feeling of fear coming up. It all just is. Nothing to do, nothing to change, nothing to figure out. We become the sky and stop identifying with the temporary passing clouds in a sense. Thoughts are only discernible if they move in a field of non-thought. The background of the mind is therefore the silence of the field of conscious itself. The more you practice, even if it's 5 minutes a day, the more empowered you will remain. This can then evolve into constant mindfulness that stays with you throughout your day-to-day interactions. Formal meditation is useful, but in order to evolve our consciousness, we have to make the transition into contemplative lifestyle, in which awareness of our thoughts and emotions is continuous. By practicing the inner work, the doors open for true, lasting transformation. Even the smallest, mundane moments of life become ripe for a breakthrough. Just sitting in traffic, revealing attachment to anger or pride, and therefore providing opportunity to surrender and transcend. Through awareness, we can consciously refrain the indulging in our habits of frustration and impatience, and instead tap into presence, witnessing the beauty all around us, the sunset behind the All of it comes into full focus as we realize that we even get the opportunity to drive a vehicle on planet Earth in a human body right here, right now, thus remembering our epic existence and affirming all that is beautiful, supportive, and good in our lives. Implications. The mind's chatter is incessant. Society's indoctrination is relentless, and the onslaught of overstimulating distractions make it almost effortless to become consumed into sensations and thoughts. Seeing this, we can drop all self-judgment and accept ourselves and others on a level we never comprehended before. Our thinking has been biologically inherited, programmed, and modeled, and is running based off subconscious patterns without us knowing it. We think it's us. We didn't know the distinction. We didn't know there was a difference. Originally, this came from our primal animal nature to survive, but eventually morphed into a flawed, limited perspective of reality, and we did it collectively as a species. But in the same way as a collective species, we will one day awaken through each individual committing to their own inner work and transcending the limiting things of consciousness. Coming across this knowledge alone is a massive step in remembering who you truly are. For if you know where to find the root of your suffering, you can finally pull it out instead of trimming the leaves. For the first time, you are fully aware of how your ego is trying to use your life force and distract you in order to perpetuate old patterns of belief, all of which, until this point, was not consciously determined by you. The awakening of consciousness is the next evolutionary step for mankind. The last aspect of our human experience to discuss before we get into the practice of the inner work is the streams of consciousness and their influence in our lives. While the mind is constantly fluttering and uncontrollably chatting, our stream of consciousness can be a more solid and firm place to work from if we learn to identify their patterns without our lives. Using awareness, we can reveal how absolutely every aspect of our lives is colored and influenced by themes of consciousness. Themes of consciousness: true freedom and lasting happiness, love and inner peace, transition into spiritual reality, reason and understanding, acceptance, willingness, neutrality, courage, transitioning into self-honesty, pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, hopelessness, guilt, and judgment. Shame, lessons from water. Dr. Masaru Emoto was able to visually demonstrate the variations of different themes of consciousness in his book, The Hidden Messages in Water. Dr. Emoto captured the effects of vibrational frequencies head on frozen water crystals using a powerful microscope with high-speed photography. He conducted experiments that consisted of exposing water to different positive and negative speech, positive and negative thoughts, various types of music, and even photographs. He then froze the samples of water to examine how the formation of crystals aesthetically changed. His experiments showed that water exposed to higher calibrating frequencies, such as love in form of positive speech and pleasant music, generated a uniquely beautiful symmetrical crystals, whereas the water exposed to negative frequencies, such as shame or anger, yielded unformed and asymmetrical crystals. Similarly to the crystals, a person occupying a limiting theme of consciousness such as fear will create a life that looks and feels like fear. They will experience thoughts of worry and doubt. Terror will surround them. They will experience feelings of paranoia and distrust. They will perceive enemies, whether physically or mentally. They will feel anxious around other people. Their choice of words will often be full of pessimism and panic. When they look at the world, they will see fearful concerns, instability, and jeopardy. In the same way, a person whose theme of consciousness is calibrating in a liberating frequency, such as love and inner peace, will in turn create a life that looks and feels like love and peace. They will experience thoughts that are compassionate and kind.